more than you knew. You always thought I was okay, 'cause I smiled through everything. But behind every quiet moment was a heart unraveling. I learned your favorite songs by memory, every word you'd ever say. While you were busy chasing someone else, I was begging love to stay. And maybe if you looked a little closer, you would have seen the truth. Nobody ever loved you the way I secretly do. I loved you more than you knew, more than every midnight call, more than every hidden feeling I never had the strength to show at all. You were busy loving someone else while I was losing sleep for you. Now I'm left with all these memories and a heart still stuck on you. You talk about her for hours, like she hung the stars above. And every time you said her name, I quietly fell apart from love. I hated how your voice could heal me and destroy me in the same breath. 'Cause even when you made me happy, you still left me emotionally wrecked. Maybe I stayed too long inside a dream that wasn't mine, but your eyes felt like home every single time. I loved you more than you knew, more than words could ever say. I kept turning all your small affections into reasons for me to stay. And now every rainy midnight feels impossible to get through, 'cause I spent my whole heart loving someone who never knew. Sometimes I still imagine if you ever felt my hand shake every time you got too close, like my whole world could break. But maybe some loves are invisible, no matter how deeply they're true. And maybe I was only someone who loved you more than you knew. I loved you more than you knew. Still I hear your voice at night. Still I search for pieces of you in every city light. And even if you never loved me the way I wanted you to, a part of me will always belong to the boy who never knew. Somebody you can never love. I knew the way your voice would change whenever she walked into the room. And I hated how I still stayed, knowing how this story would end too soon. You looked at her like she was magic, like the answer to your prayers, while I stood right beside you, trying not to notice you never cared. I kept telling myself maybe someday things would change, but loving you felt like reaching for something too far away. I was somebody you could never love, no matter choose. You came to me when she hurt you, and I healed every scar you had. But every time you ran back to her, it destroyed everything we had. I memorized your favorite songs, your late night thoughts, your fears. While you were building dreams with her, I was drowning in my tears. Maybe I was only comfort, somewhere safe for you to fall. But I was foolish enough to think you could someday love me at all. I was somebody you could never love, even when I gave my soul. You made another girl your future, while leaving me alone. Now every midnight feels colder, every memory cuts like truth. 'Cause the hardest kind of heartbreak is loving someone who never chooses you. Sometimes I still wonder if you ever felt my hand shake every time you said her name, like my whole world could break. But maybe some hearts are written to love without being loved back, and maybe mine will always carry everything your heart lacked. I was somebody you could never love, still I hear your voice like rain. Still I search for pieces of you inside every ounce of pain. And even if you never loved me the way I wanted you to, a part of me will always ache for the love I never got from you. You were sunlight through my window on the darkest days I knew. Every little thing felt better every time I talked to you. I memorized your favorite songs, the way your tired eyes would shine while you were busy loving someone else. I was busy losing my mind, and everybody saw the truth except the girl inside my heart. You were never walking toward me, I just couldn't stand apart. I fell in love alone while you were never even close. I built forever in my head for moments you don't even know. You smiled and I mistook it for something real between us two. Now I'm left talking to the silence, still pretending I'm with you. You called me when she hurt you, and I stayed up all night long, listening while my own heart shattered, trying hard to stay strong. I hated how your eyes lit up whenever someone said her name, and every time you ran to me, I knew I'd lose this game. I kept hoping time would change you, maybe someday you would see the girl who loved you quietly, standing where she'd always be. I fell in love alone, and now these memories hurt to keep. You were just too young to know when love was one-sided, but your voice felt like a safe place, even while my heart was dying. I fell in love alone, still I'd probably do it again, even if your arms were never meant to hold me in the end. Now I hear your name like thunder, feel your memory like rain. You never knew I loved you, but I still carry all the pain. I was your almost. You held my hand like it mattered, then let it go like it was nothing. And somehow I kept believing we were becoming something. You looked at me with those eyes that felt too warm to be fake, but every little hope you gave was another heart you'd break. We were always stuck between what if and never enough, and I kept calling it love, even when it started to hurt too much. I was your almost, the girl you nearly loved, close enough to feel your heartbeat, far enough to lose us. You gave me pieces of forever, then disappear without a sound. Now I'm left with all these memories and no way to put them down. You only came when you felt lonely, like I was somewhere safe to land. And every time I tried to leave, you pulled me back again. I hated how your voice could heal me and destroy me in one night, 'cause loving you felt beautiful, even while it ruined my life. Maybe I was just a chapter in a story you outgrew, but you became my whole world before I even knew. I was your almost, never really yours to keep. You kissed me like you meant it, then left me losing sleep. I kept building dreams around you while you stayed halfway gone. And now every midnight silence feels like hearing our unfinished song. Sometimes I still read our messages like maybe this can change, but almost love leaves scars that never fade away. And maybe that's the cruelest thing. You made my heart believe that someday you would choose me, right before you chose to leave. I was your almost, the one you couldn't fully love. Now your memory falls around me like cold rain from above. And even if we were never real, you still broke me like we were, 'cause almost love can hurt much deeper than love that's ever sure. You were never mine to lose. I still remember that October night. You laughed and pulled me close, and for a second I believed maybe I was what you wanted most. You talked about forever carelessly, like it was just another word, while I was turning every little thing into something that could hurt. And now I replay every moment like a movie I can't leave behind. You were holding my hand gently while loving someone else the whole time. You were never mine to lose, but losing you still broke my heart. I built a home inside your shadow while you were tearing it apart. I kept mistaking all your kindness for a love that could be true. Now every midnight feels much colder, knowing I meant less to you. Your hoodie's still inside my room, and your voice still fills my head. I hate that every little memory feels alive before I sleep instead. You looked at her the way I prayed you'd someday look at me, and I smiled through my jealousy like heartbreak couldn't be seen. I was writing us a future while you were chasing someone new. Guess I loved you so completely I ignored the painful truth. You were never mine to lose, but I still cry when I hear your name. I gave you every hidden piece of me. Wow, to you this was just a game, and now I'm dancing with old memories, trying hard to not fall apart. You were never really mine, but you still left scars across my heart. Maybe I loved too deeply, maybe I hoped too long. Maybe some people are meant to stay only inside a song. You were never mine to lose, still I search for you in crowded rooms. Still I hear your voice in every silence. Still I wear these heartbreak blues. And if loving you was my mistake, then why did it feel so right? You were never truly mine, but I still lose you every night. I was always in the background, laughing at the things you'd say, hiding all my broken feelings just to keep you close each day. You talk about the girls you wanted while I acted like a friend, but every word felt like a knife I couldn't stop inside my head. And maybe if you looked a little closer, you would notice all the signs, the way my whole world stopped spinning every single time you smiled. I was the girl you never saw, standing right beside your heart, loving you in quiet places while you tore my soul apart. You searched for love in everybody while mine was right in front of you. call when she made you cry. You never knew I stayed awake just to hear you say goodbye. And every time you needed saving, I was there without a doubt. But when my own heart started breaking, you never figured it out. I kept hoping someday maybe you would finally look my way. But dreams can hurt much more than silence when they slowly fade away. I was the girl you never saw, even when I gave my all. You were busy chasing someone who would never catch your fall. And now your memory keeps dancing through every lonely room I'm in. 'Cause loving you became a war I was always meant to lose again. Maybe in another lifetime you would choose my heart instead. Maybe then these sleepless nights wouldn't replay things you said. But some loves stay invisible, no matter how hard they shine. And maybe you were always hers, even while I wished you were mine. I was the girl you never saw, still I loved you endlessly. Now every song becomes a picture of what we could never be. And even if you never noticed, even if you never knew, a part of me will always stay in love with you. In love with you. I heard you say her name again. We were driving through the city, windows down, cold summer air. And for one stupid little moment, I thought maybe you cared. Then you folded up beside me, and your whole face changed again. The way your eyes softly sparkled told me everything back then. I tried to hide the way it hurt me, tried to laugh and play it cool, but loving you was turning me into somebody fragile and confused. I heard you say her name again, like it was your favorite song. And every time it left your lips, my heart knew where it belonged. You spoke about it like forever, while I sat beside you breaking down, smiling through the jealousy. So you would never notice now. You asked me if she sounded happy when you read a message out loud. And I swear I almost lost myself right there inside the crowd. 'Cause every little thing about her was everything I couldn't be. And every time you loved her openly, you erased another piece of me. Maybe I stayed too long inside a dream that wasn't true, but your voice felt way too beautiful to stop loving you. I heard you say her name again, and suddenly the night felt cold. I was standing right beside you, but your heart was out of hold. I gave you all my hidden feelings, every secret I could hide, while you were busy loving her. And I was dying quietly inside. Sometimes I still wonder if at the end of the day. I heard you say her name again. Now it echoes through my mind like a memory that keeps returning every lonely night. And even if you never loved me the way I wanted you to do, I'll always remember the feeling of sitting beside you while losing you. Loving you hurt quietly. I learned to hide my feelings behind every little smile, 'cause loving you was something I carried all this time. You talk about the girl you wanted while I nodded like I'm fine, but every word felt like thunder crashing through my mind. And nobody ever noticed how my whole world changed for you. I became an expert at pretending my heart wasn't breaking too. Loving you hurt quietly, like rain falling after midnight. No one saw the tears behind my eyes. No one knew I cried. I stayed through every moment, even when it tore me apart, 'cause you were holding someone else while holding all my heart. You called me when you felt lonely, and I answered every time, even though your voice could heal me and destroy me in the same night. I hated how one little message could make my chest collapse, 'cause every time I almost moved on, you somehow pulled me back. Maybe I kept loving harder, thinking someday you would see the girl who stayed beside you was the one you really need. Loving you hurt quietly, like screaming with no sound. I was losing sleep and losing myself. Why you never looked around? You made another girl your future, while I stayed stuck in the past, trying to hold on to a feeling that was never meant to last. Sometimes I still replay every moment in my head, wondering if you ever noticed the tears I never said. But maybe some hearts are destined to love without being loved back, and maybe mine was always yours, even while you loving you hurt quietly. Still I'd probably do it again, even if my heart keeps breaking. Every time you call me friend, now every midnight feels colder. Every memory cuts right through, 'cause nobody ever knew how much I was loving you. To me, sometimes I still wonder if you ever noticed my pain, or if I was just background noise while she became your rain. But maybe some people the sun sets beautiful You were sunlight through my window on the darkest days I knew. Every little thing felt better every time I talk to you. I memorized your favorite songs, the way your tired eyes would shine while you were busy loving someone else. I was busy losing my mind, and everybody saw the truth except the girl inside my heart. You were never walking toward me, I just couldn't stand apart. I fell in love alone while you were never even close. I built forever in my head for moments you don't even know. You smiled and I mistook it for something real between us two. Now I'm left talking to the silence, still pretending I'm with you. You called me when she hurt you, and I stayed up all night long, listening while my own heart shattered, trying hard to stay strong. I hated how your eyes lit up whenever someone said her name, and every time you ran to me, I knew I'd lose this game. I kept hoping time would change you. Maybe someday you would see the girl who loved you quietly, standing where she'd always be. I fell in love alone, and now these memories hurt to keep. You were the reason for my smiles, now you're the reason I can't sleep. I gave my heart so easily to someone who was never mine. Now every midnight feels like punishment for loving you this whole time. Maybe I was just too young to know when love was one-sided, but your voice felt like a safe place, even while my heart was dying. I fell in love alone, still I'd probably do it again, even if your arms were never meant to hold me in the end. Now I hear your name like thunder, feel your memory like rain. You never knew I loved you, but I still carry all the pain. You looked at her like she was magic, like the stars were in her eyes, and I stood there pretending not to break while hiding tears behind my smile. You said her name so softly, like a prayer you couldn't lose, and every word you spoke about her was another way I lost to you. I kept telling myself maybe someday you would see the girl who stayed through every heartbreak, was standing quietly beside you the whole time. Watching you love her was like slowly falling apart. Every little glance you gave her left another scar across my heart. I smiled while you talked about forever, like you didn't kill me inside, but loving you in silence was the hardest thing to hide. You called me late when she ignored you, and I answered every time, even though hearing your voice only made me lose my mind. I hated how you never noticed the way my hands would shake every time you said you loved her, while my whole heart started to break. Maybe I was just a safe place, someone you could run into while I was busy building dreams that would never come true. Watching you love her till my nights into the rain, I kept hoping you would choose me while you were calling out her name. And now every song reminds me of everything I couldn't be, 'cause your heart was always hers, even when you were here with me. Sometimes I still imagine, what if you looked at me that way? Would my lonely heart stop hurting? Would you finally make me stay? But some people are just stories that were never meant to last, and maybe I was only someone you forgot too fast. Watching you love her still feels like drowning in slow motion. I gave you every hidden piece of me, you gave her all your devotion. Now I whisper your name to silence, like a memory I can't escape, 'cause loving you was beautiful, even while it destroyed me every day. I stayed through every broken moment, every night you fell apart, listening to your endless stories while hiding my own heart. You said I knew you better than anybody else you knew, but somehow even after all that, you still never chose me to. I kept mistaking all your kindness for something deeper in your soul, while you were busy searching for a love outside my hold. I was the person you never chose, the one who stayed through every storm. You ran into my arms for comfort, but hers were always home. I gave you every hidden feeling, every piece of me I could lose, and maybe that's what hurts the most. I was everything except the one you choose. You called me when she hurt you, and I answered every time, even though hearing her name always shattered something inside. I memorized your favorite songs, the way your tired eyes would shine while you were dreaming of forever with somebody who wasn't mine. Maybe love isn't enough when only one heart truly tries, 'cause no matter how deeply I stayed, you still looked past my eyes. I was the person you never chose, looked at me that way, would all these lonely nights disappear? Would my broken heart finally stay? But some people are meant to heal others without getting healed in return. And maybe I was just another lesson you were never meant to learn. I was the person you never chose, still I loved you endlessly. Now your name feels like a ghost living inside of me. And even if you never noticed, even if you never knew, a part of me will always belong to the love I couldn't lose. I was sitting by my window, watching raindrops hit the glass, waiting for your name to light my phone. Like maybe this time you'd ask if I was okay too. But you only came to tell me how beautiful she looked tonight. And I smiled like it didn't hurt me, while my whole world lost its light. I kept replaying every message, searching for something I missed. Cause the way you talk to me sometimes almost felt like this was real. You texted her while I waited, stayed awake till 3 a.m. hoping maybe for 1 second you'd think about me. Instead, I gave you all my attention while yours was somewhere else. And every notification broke me, cause it was never myself. You disappear for hours, then come back when she was gone. And I hated how one simple hey could keep me holding on. My friends all said I'm stupid for loving someone this way, but they never heard your voice at midnight, making all my logic fade. Maybe I was just convenient, maybe you just liked my care, but I built entire futures for moments that weren't there. You texted her while I waited, like my heart was just a place to stay. You made me feel almost important, then pushed me far away. And now every vibration echoes like a memory I can't escape. Cause even silence sounds like heartbreak when your love was never mine to take. Sometimes I still check my phone, even though I know the truth. Some part of me still hopes you'll finally choose. But maybe I was only someone you talked to when you felt alone, while I was busy falling deeply into a love that wasn't home. You texted her while I waited, and somehow I stayed anyway. Now every midnight feels empty, and every blue light feels the same. Still I read our old conversations like You used to tell me all your secrets, every fear you try to hide. And I stayed up every midnight just to keep you alright. I thought maybe if I loved you a little harder every day, you would finally see the girl who never walked away. But every time your phone would light up, I already knew her name. And somehow even in your silence, I still hoped things would change. She got the heart I wanted, the love I dreamed about, while I was standing in the shadows, trying not to break down. You looked at her like she was magic, like she hung the stars above. And I kept pretending I was fine, while dying for your love. I remember all those late nights when you told me she was perfect, and every word felt like a dagger, buried deeper in my chest. You never noticed how I paused every time you smiled at her, 'cause loving you became a pain I didn't know how to cure. Maybe I was only comfort, maybe I was just too close, close enough to hear your heartbeat, but never enough to hold. She got the heart I wanted, and I got all the empty space. Now every memory feels colder, every song repeats your face. I gave you every hidden feeling, every piece I tried to save, but loving you was like chasing sunlight that slowly fades away. Sometimes I still imagine, what if you looked at me instead? Would these lonely midnight thoughts finally leave my head? But some people are meant to love while others only watch. And maybe I was born to lose the one thing that I wanted most. She got the heart I wanted, still I whisper your name at night, still I search for pieces of you in every city light. Even if you never loved me the way I needed you to, a part of me will always ache for the boy I never got to lose. Yeah, you never said you loved me, but you never let me go. You kept me somewhere in between, a feeling I could never know. Some nights you held me closer, like I was all you'd ever need. Then the next morning you'd disappear and leave my heart to bleed. You gave me just enough affection to make it hard to walk away. I kept building all my hopes on every little maybe that you'd say. You love me in maybes, never in forever. You kept my heart wide open while giving yours to someone better. I was stuck inside your mixed emotions, trying to understand the truth. But every time I almost left, you pulled me back to you. You called me when you felt lonely, like I was your midnight cure. And I hated how one simple text could make my weak heart yours. I replay every conversation like maybe I missed a sign, but loving you is like chasing stars that were never mine. I kept waiting for your feelings to finally become real, but promises without a future still know how to kill. You love me in maybes, in soft words and blurry lines, in almost kisses, almost futures, in wrong place, wrong time. I gave you all my hidden pieces while you stayed unsure of me. Now I'm left alone with memories and what we could never be. Maybe that's the cruelest part. You made me feel love sometimes, enough to keep me hoping, enough to ruin my mind. And now I don't know what hurts more, the fact you never stayed, or the way you made me believe you someday would have anyway. You loved me in maybes, and I loved you like it was fate. Now every midnight feels heavier, 'cause my heart still waits. And even though you never chose me, I still hear your voice like rain, 'cause almost love leaves deeper scars than love that never came. You called me late at night again, talking about the girl you like, and I stayed awake until sunrise just to hear your voice one more time. You never noticed how I paused every time you said her name. I laughed like it didn't hurt me, while my whole world slowly changed. I was standing right beside you, but your heart was miles away, and every little piece of me was begging you to stay. You loved her in front of me like I was just somebody else. Well, I was writing us forever, you were wanting someone else. I gave you every hidden part, every tear I couldn't hide. Now I'm dancing with the memories of a love that never tried. Your hoodie hanging in my room still smells like nights in early June, and every song you used to play turns my happy thoughts to blue. I wonder if you ever knew how hard I tried to be enough, but loving you was like holding rain. No matter what, it slipped off. You were everything I wanted, I was never what you need, and somehow I kept hoping love would finally choose me. You loved her in front of me, and I smiled through every scar, watching you become the reason why I hate my fragile heart. You held my hand so carelessly, like it never meant a thing. Now every midnight feels like winter, and every memory still sings. Maybe if I looked like her, or spoke with softer words, maybe then you would have seen me. Maybe then this wouldn't hurt. But I was only the safe place you ran to when she made you cry. and I kept calling that love, while slowly saying goodbye. You loved her in front of me, still I stayed and called it fate. Now your name lives in my shadow, and your silence stays too late. I was giving you my whole heart, while yours was never mine to keep. Now I whisper I'm okay before I cry myself to sleep. I stayed while you chose her. You came to me with tired eyes, talking about the girl you loved, and I sat there pretending that hearing her name wasn't enough to completely ruin me inside. I memorized the way you smiled whenever your phone lit up, hoping one day it'd be my name, but it never was. I was always there to catch you every time she let you down, but somehow you never noticed I was drowning while you talked about her now. I stayed while you chose her, again and again, like I didn't hurt. You held my heart so carelessly while making hers your whole world. I loved you louder in the silence than she ever had to do, but no matter how hard I stayed, your heart never chose me to. You said I was different, that I understood you most, but I learned too late. Sometimes that just means you'll love them while I stay close. And every midnight conversation only made me fall apart, 'cause I was healing all your wounds while you were breaking my heart. Maybe I kept hoping someday you finally see what's true, but love can't grow from one heart when the other's stuck on someone new. I stayed while you chose her, and smiled through every scar, watching you give someone else the pieces I pray for in the dark. Now every song sounds emptier, every memory feels blue, 'cause I was busy loving you while you were loving her like a fool. Sometimes I still wonder if you ever felt my hands shake every time you said her name, like my whole soul could break. But maybe I was just the safe place you ran to when she made you cry, and maybe loving you this deeply was my slow goodbye. I stayed while you chose her, till there was nothing left of me. Now your voice feels like a ghost, haunting every dream I see. And even if you never left me like I wanted you to do, I swear a part of my heart will always belong to you. I stayed well